Love
And
that.
so during that process, again, I think you're building this faith
Mm-hmm.
that's going to carry them through a lot of the challenges that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Spending a couple of weeks studying and taking their exam for us or whatever certification process you may have in your industry. You
Yeah.
know, spending a couple weeks training and it might be a little bit before they break ice and actually make their first sale, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And that's okay if you've done a good job of again building that belief system through
Yeah.
that first part of the process and getting them engaged as quickly as possible, inviting them into your meetings or to be a part of your group chats that you may have for your teams and having different people reach out to them and congratulate them on making a great decision. I mean, every opportunity that you get to sort of reinforce that belief that you already built
Yep.
is going to give you stickiness and to
Yep.
keep them around long enough because that really is the game in the beginning is it's keeping you around long enough to where you'll actually start to realize I say that there's kind of there's three phases. It's a job, it's a career, and then it becomes a way of life. Okay. So, most of the time when somebody starts a new job, that's exactly what it is to them. It's a job, it's something I can go do and make a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then as you start to do that and you start to have success, some level of success, you're like, you start to think, hey, maybe I could do this long term.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be a career for me.
Yeah.
But if you truly have that entrepreneurial mindset and you're treating it like a business,
Mm.
at some point it's going to become a way of life for you. In
Yeah.
other words, it's just going to be part of who you are.
Yeah.
When you're out and about, you're talking to other people about it, and it's just
Yeah.
part of your persona. And
Yeah.
that's when people in our company, and I would say any company,
Yeah.
are going to be able to experience the highest level of success is when it's a way of life for them.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I've never heard anybody explain it like that. That's like exactly what my experience was like,
Mhm.
from starting in commission-based sales when I was 21, you know, uh, till now. So that's super interesting. I wanted to recap on a couple things because you dropped so much good stuff. You talked about, just being honest at the beginning, right? A lot of people have been, misled and lied to in the recruiting and leadership process. It's really common for people to have, past, negative employer experiences. And so when you're honest and really transparent up front, that helps trust, right? And recruiting is a sales process. Is, if you're building trust, that's going to help you close more people. And it's good too, because if you're not setting clear expectations and their expectations are totally misaligned and they're expecting to make money in 2 weeks and it's really going to be 6 weeks or whatever the timeline is, well, you're just going to experience higher, amounts of attrition.
Yes.
The you mentioned setting expectations around a couple things, which is gold. It's around timeline, right? It's, hey, this is what it historically looks like for somebody that plugs in an AB and does A, B, and C. Here's what the timeline looks like in whatever, month one up to month three, year one, year two, right? So you guys know that information and you can set really clear expectations so the candidate can either go, I'm confident in enough and excited enough about the opportunity to say yes and move forward, and I get the details, or they're not, right? But that timeline and clarity there can help their confidence in saying yes to the moving forward. And then you also mentioned setting expectations around the emotions, and this is this is huge because it starts literally after that, after the time they say yes, I'm ready to rock and roll, let's do it, right? Whenever that starts, the emotions can start from there all the way through the time that they're actually making good money and more confident that this is doable. um, and if you're not leading them through that emotional kind of roller coaster that can happen for everybody, then you're going to experience more attrition. So it's
Mhm.
about setting expectations. Hey, this is the timeline. Although that you're saying yes to this right now, by 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to start to maybe feel doubt around A, B, and C. And that's a part of it. Literally all
Yep.
466 people that work with us, they experience those same things. Here's how they got over it. right? Then you're going to
Yep.
complete your exam. And by then, you're going to start going through the ramp up period and you're going to be 30 days in. And during that time, you're going to experience A, B, and C. And again, that's normal, right? So the goal, right? And so bringing clarity there can start to help them through that mindset piece that you're talking about. But then they forget. So it's constantly leading them around that. Like sometimes on a weekly basis in the leadership one-on-ones, how are you doing? How are you feeling? It's week 3, and having those conversations and reminding them that, hey, what you're feeling is normal. I'm here to serve you and help you. Let's continue through the process, right? If you don't kind of speak to people individually and help them in that way, that can really hurt
Yeah,
retention.
I mean, you couldn't have explained it any more perfectly. I mean, when somebody comes on board, we schedule personal conferences with them weekly.
Yes.
So they get, one-on-one time with their field leader every
Yes.
week. And,
Yeah.
that's the time exactly what you're talking about, where we kind of allow them to express how things are going, what they're struggling with, and reassure them that that's totally normal. And in fact, you're probably going to have this happen and this happen. I know I did. And when it
Yeah.
happened to me, here's how I overcame.
Yes.
Uh, it's recruiting is one thing, but I mean, I say recruiting is fairly easy.
That's
It's
this.
the
Yeah.
next part, that is more challenging, to
Yeah.
get them up and going and making money. And,
Yeah.
uh, I can't imagine doing anything else
Yeah.
other than being a commission salesperson. I can't imagine, like, there's no way I would ever be anything else.
Yep.
Um, but it's scary for people, initially, for whatever reason. I mean, to me, it's like it goes back to this programming that you get from the time you're young. I mean, it's all about go get a job and
Yep.
benefits,
Yeah.
and it's so misleading, as those opportunities they pale in comparison to what people can make, and what they can build, you
Yeah.
know, in a business like ours.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And then you're totally right. Like once because the operationally the recruiting process, that's really cookie cutter, right? It's ads, it's initial screening, pumping the people into the group interview, right? The differences in the group interview between your leaders are, you're better than maybe the least experienced leader in the group interview process, right? So there's differences there because there's a different person pitching the group interview, right? So the closing ratios are going to be different. But overall, the recruiting process is cookie cutter. It's like same ads, different market, same screening and scheduling process, administrative work, pushing the people into the group interview, pitch the dream. People are either interested or not. You funnel them into a basic screening process and then a one-on-one, right? So that stuff is fairly cookie cutter. And once you have it implemented in your case in a specific market for a leader, it's like, okay, that's simple. That's how we pump the bodies in. That's like, I've been telling clients this for like the last few months. I'm like, really, when you look at this, don't think about it. It's just, I need the right quote unquote person. Recruiting is like 1/3 of it. Like 2/3 of it is all the complexity that happens after a rep's like, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll. I've signed my agreement. That's when it really starts. The
Yeah.
cookie cutter, the process is cookie cutter that pumps in the bodies and all the complexity around dialing in your sales process, onboarding, training, how you manage, you do your team meetings and all that stuff is really what it takes to retain your people. You mentioned another piece about, which is relevant to every opportunity, but in insurance, when they're getting the licensing piece, you got to engage them, right? And not just say, okay, get your licensing and just hit me up, when you're done, right? You want to get them plugged into whatever you got going, whether it's just you or you got a sales office, right? The more that we can get them engaged and connected with people and more bought into the culture and all these things, that's going to start to tie them to your organization a lot better. And it's all about, continuing that confidence that they had from literally the group interview and on, because the more doubt that they have, the more likely they are to be distracted by other opportunities and maybe not make it through
Yep.
onboarding.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be around people that are doing it and getting it done,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
100%. 100%.
because again, that reinforces that belief and
Yeah.
makes them want to get that, whatever those prerequisites are, done faster so they can get out there and start doing it too,